All right, thank you, Ginger. 6:48 is your time, and new this morning, 12 News has learned 2 fires are now threatening structures in San Diego County, California. The lilac fire that scorched about 3 acres in an area it's right near Old Highway 395. The San Diego County Sheriff's Department issued evacuation orders for homes in the area. What's scary about this stuff is those Santa Ana winds. This is actually right near home for me, and I've been getting texts from family all morning. A second fire, Palisades fire, it's also burning in the counties just north of I-15 and Highway 76. It's burned about 5 acres. It's spreading rapidly. We, of course, are going to keep an eye on this all day long.
Yeah, these are the 2 newest fires burning in Southern California, right? But we're also learning Arizona Forestry's Task Force 2 is coming back home here to Arizona after helping with firefighting efforts there in Southern California. So they spent 2 weeks battling the Eaton fire. That was in Los Angeles County. The Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management says 6 Arizona Forestry task forces, they're still in Southern California. They're going to stay there as they're still trying to wrap up the Palisades and Eaton fires.
We know you've seen the images, you've seen the videos that have gone viral, and we're seeing just the utter destruction. I was talking to a cousin over there. We have 12 News anchor Troy Hayden here because you were just there. You were in the middle of all of it, and I feel like that perspective is so needed now because, yes, we see all the images, but at some point we almost detach because it is, you know, we see it on our phones, we see it on TV. But this, it's like a bomb went off.
Oh, it was overwhelming. I mean, these are towns, these are basically suburbs of Los Angeles that were erased, just gone. And these are urban wildfires,
exactly.
You know? So it's not like a typical house fire where, you know, one house will catch fire, then the next house catches fire, and if they're careful, they can keep it to that.
Right.
In a wildfire, there's a wave of flames that goes through a forest. But instead of a forest, because of these conditions, these were homes. This was Pacific Palisades, as you saw, Altadena. And like you said, they were wiped out.
Just completely. And it's so hard to imagine when you're there dealing with all of this. You talked about these are urban areas, right? Densely populated. And then you add in those Santa Ana winds. I mean, did you experience any of those when you were there, just seeing how strong they were?
Yeah, it was very fortunate. We got there and when the winds calmed down. And so firefighters were able to kind of get a handle on things. But when you're talking, in Santa Ana, we should probably explain to people, you know, if you look at the weather map, you almost always see clouds coming from the Pacific Ocean coming onshore to California, right? That's where all the storm systems come from. So normally that onshore breeze is cooler and there's moisture in it, right? And the fire doesn't like that so much. Santa Ana winds are coming from the interior, from the deserts, from the valleys. And so what happened in Pacific Palisades, especially, those winds came right over those mountains, the Santa Monica Mountains, swept down into Pacific Palisades, it's one of the most recognizable neighborhoods in Los Angeles, and it had no chance. 70-mile-an-hour winds, blowing embers, you know, a mile down the road. Firefighters couldn't get on top of it. They said they had water issues there as well. They'll be debating that, I'm sure, for
We're talking about thousands of people who are displaced now, and I'm sure that the stories you heard from these people who have to deal with the reality of, yes, my home was completely obliterated, my town, my community, my neighbors' homes. What is next?
Well, and you know, people were still in shock when I was there, right?
Oh, I bet.
And I don't think this story really unfolds until we're 6 months or a year down the line. Because where do you start? You know, I was standing in a neighborhood where as far as I could see, I called it a forest of chimneys. Because that's all that was standing. So they say there's toxic elements in there. These are older neighborhoods too. They've been around since the 40s and 50s. So asbestos, things like that. So what do you do to get in there and clean those up? Do you bring a bulldozer in and scrape the entire neighborhood? Do you have to replace the plumbing and things? I think we're looking at, who knows, 4, 5, 10 years? So people that I talked to were staying with friends and things. How long does that last?
Right.
And if you lose that many homes in Los Angeles, it already has, I'm sure, a housing crunch like we do. There's not just 15,000 rental homes ready to go for these people or apartments. So
who can afford that? Who can afford that?
You know, something that stood out to me too, as we wrap up here, we're going to continue to talk with Troy over on 12 Plus at 7 o'clock. But one of the videos that you provided for us was of the melted out car. Of everything just gone, essentially just pieces of the frame there, giving you an idea of just how intense these flames are, what's left there. And I just cannot wait to talk to you more about the people you spoke with, including the first responders who were there from us. So you guys, you have to stick around. We're going to talk with Troy more, like I mentioned, on 12 Plus coming up at 7 o'clock. We appreciate you bringing that perspective back here to us.
See you in a few minutes.
Okay.